That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to excuse me.
Mr. Haney?
We're doing it for the first time now in the 21st century, going into the 20th, from the 20th century going into the second quarter of the 21st century, that we'd say 12 years is enough. I think 12 years is enough going into 20, 30, 40, 50. The rebuilding of Syria, of Libya, they're there. And I want to thank the Prime Minister for Colombia's leadership in the ASEAN chair. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
Good morning, Owasso. This is Chad with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. And yeah, as you heard from that little opener there, it was kind of a comedy thing that I wanted to do to start it. But yeah, Biden openly admitted to having cancer, and that seems to be more of a true statement now that we know what we know now. So Biden has had stage 4 prostate cancer that's metastasized to his bones, which means that it's been at least like 4 years or more, depending on the severity. Like they say it takes like 10 plus years for it to get to that level, unless it's like super severe, which then they say it takes like 3 to 4. So which means that he has literally had this since he started his presidency. Which brings up questions: is did the Democrats and the rest of the party know about this? And if it is, like I said, I honestly feel bad for Joe Biden now. We used to make fun of him and just say how incompetent he was because he was getting old. But now it seems to me it's literally just elder abuse. The Democratic Party was doing elder abuse against Joe Biden. Like they were literally, if they were treating it, they said that the treatment actually does cause cognitive dysfunction. Like they're not going to be the brightest bulbs in the box anymore. And if they weren't treating it, I think that makes it even worse. Because it means that they were literally sacrificing a man's life just to have Donald Trump not win. That's what they've done. And then they're talking about, said with this cognitive disability that they're talking about right now, is like, how could any of those pardons be, all the pardons that they're talking about, be sanctified or be used right now? It's like he absolutely has something wrong with him. And the Democrats just ignored all this completely. Like, it's truly sickening the more I think about it. And it's really sad. I honestly feel bad for making fun of him for so long now. But I mean, he straight up asked for it. Because it's as if he didn't know himself, unless he was literally just that cognitively impaired the entire time and didn't realize that he had it. But I mean, it's clear that they would rather sacrifice some poor old man and parade him around and pump him full of, drugs to keep him semi-conscious and semi-awake just to not have Trump be president. Really, really sick stuff. And again, I always ask, I don't see how anybody can vote Democrat after you find out stuff like this. They have done nothing but lie to us for years now. Lie to you. How could you ever vote for a party that keeps secrets this deep? It's disgusting. It's really disgusting. Which brings up to the first article that I have here is Trump calls Biden's cancer diagnosis very sad while questioning the timeline. Wasn't informed. Yeah. And that's literally what's going on right now. Actually, I didn't pull up my little thumbnail. Let me pull that up real quick. There we go. That's better. Shrink it down just a hair. Boom. Perfect. All right. But we'll get to this article real quick, and then we'll get on to some memes after that. So, all right. President Trump spoke candidly about former President Joe Biden's recent prostate cancer diagnosis on Monday, expressing sympathy while also suggesting that the situation should be investigated, which it should. How long had they known about this? I mean, they do regular medical checkups on presidents. So how did they not catch this? Biden's team announced the diagnosis on Sunday afternoon, saying that the former statesman was seen for new finding of prostate nodule after experiencing increasingly urinary symptoms. On Friday, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, characterized by a Gleason score of 9, grade group 5, with metastasis to the bone, the statement added. While this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. Biden's team concluded that the president and his family are reviewing treatment options with his physicians. Speaking to reporters on Monday afternoon, Trump called the news very sad, actually. I'm surprised that, the public wasn't notified a long time ago, because to get to stage 9, that's a long time, President said. I just had my physical, and the doctors at the White House over at Walter Reed, which is a fantastic hospital. I hope very competent physicians, including cognitive tests. I completed physical tests, including cognitive tests. Trump also referred to Biden's cognitive decline during his presidency, stating that anybody running for president should take a cognitive test. They say it's unconstitutional, but I would say in one particular case, having a cognitive test wouldn't be so bad, the Republican said. Trump also posited that public wasn't informed about Biden's mental situation and suggested that the situation should be investigated. I think somebody is going to have to speak to his doctor if it's the same or even the two separate doctors, Trump said. Why wasn't the cognitive ability, why wasn't that being discussed? And I think that the doctor said he's just fine, and it turned out that it's not. It's very dangerous. The president concluded by saying that the diagnosis is a very, very sad situation, and I feel badly about it. I think people should try to find out what happened, because I tell you, I don't know if I had anything to do with that hospital, Trump said. Walter Reed is really good. There's some of the best doctors I've seen. Somebody is not telling the facts, he concluded. It's a big problem. News of Biden's aggressive cancer diagnosis shocked the country over the week. After a recent bipartisan message of sympathy, the 82-year-old thanked his supporters on social media on Monday. The cancer touches us all, Biden wrote on X. Like so many of you, Jill and I have learned that we are the strongest in broken places. Thank you for lifting us up with love and support. Yeah, which we do. I mean, I don't think there's probably a Republican that doesn't feel bad about Joe Biden getting diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. It's awful. It's sickening. And it's just like whenever anybody who's been around anybody that has dementia or Alzheimer's, it's like when we saw those videos of him just like kind of staring off into space and wandering off. That's exactly what it looks like with somebody with Alzheimer's. Like I also just like they don't know where they're at. They don't know what's going on. They're confused. Can they have good days? Yes. But the bad days are awful. So we have a lot of questions that need to be answered. And we know that the media has been covering this up with this Axios news right here. Exclusive from Axios. Biden's reversal on classified documents flustered his attorneys. Audio obtained by Axios, former President Biden on October 2023, which this is 2 years ago, interview with special counsel Robert Hur shows Biden acknowledged that he might have wanted to keep classified documents about Afghanistan for posterity's sake. Why it matters. The admission of the intent technically could have exposed Biden to criminal charges. Biden personal attorney Bob Bauer soon intervened in the conversation. I would just really like to avoid, for the purpose of a clean record, getting into speculative areas. He does not recall specifically intending to keep this memo after he left the vice presidency. In the conversation, Biden initially said that he didn't recall how he retained possession of that document. Your answer Your answer is that you don't know, Bauer instructed that the president at one point, but the deputy special counsel, Mark Kirkbaum, noted that the journalist had written about the document, and he asked whether Biden had intended to keep it because of its historical value, prompting Biden to say, "I guess I wanted to hang on to it for posterity's sake." Biden spoke to Kelly Scully and said in a statement, "The transcripts were released by Biden administration more than a year ago. The audio does nothing but confirm what is already public." Read the excerpt from the transcript. 1. Was this the memo, Mr. President? Was this something that you consciously kept after your vice president term as vice president? Is this something that you would wanted to hold on to? President Biden: "I don't recall whether I did have this. Was this in my possession, this memo?" "Yes. To give to context for this, Mr. President, it was found in the front of a notebook that was on the first page, and the notebook was found in the library at the lake house in one of the drawers in the cabinet." "Okay," says Biden. Bob Bauer, president's personal attorney: "But your answer is that you don't know." See? Advising. Now, granted, this is what lawyers do, but he just answered the question in the affirmative. So, retrospectively, go back and say, "No, I don't know." No, the answer is you don't know. So, it's an attorney telling you what to say, which is kind of like sketchy in my opinion. I don't think attorneys should advise people really what to say. You can kind of coach them beforehand, but when during an interview, or especially like now, this isn't a court deposition, but I don't think that they should be allowed to, do anything like that. Let the person speak on their own terms. "I don't recall how I got it back. I don't recall how it came back to the book because I sent it to the president, which is Obama, and I gave it to the president, and it looks like the original. I don't think there's a copy made, but I don't think so." Yeah. So you can just look at this whole interview process talking about all this. I guess we can kind of like listen to the audio right here.
Was this memo, Mr. President, was this something that you consciously kept after your term as vice president? Is this something that you wanted to hold on to?
I don't recall did I have this? Was this in my possession, this memo?
Yes, to give you some context for this, Mr. President, it was found in the front of this notebook that's on the first page, and the notebook was found in the library at the lake house in one of the drawers in the cabinet.
I don't recall how it got back. I don't recall how it got back in the book because I sent it to the president. I gave it to the president. And this looks like the original. I don't think maybe there's a copy made, but I don't think so.
It was faxed, just to give you
Oh,
some
okay,
context.
that's why.
Yeah.
All right, now I got it.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure whether I handed it to the president. It was faxed to the president, which I had the copy.
Right.
Okay.
You had the original.
Yeah, I had the original, and I just put it in the book, and that was it.
Okay. Were you aware that you had kept it after your term as vice president? Did you know that you had it?
I don't know that I knew, but it wasn't something I would have stopped to think about.
The reason I ask is it's been written about. Bob Woodward wrote about it in one of his books. Jules Whitcover wrote about it in his biography of you. So that's the reason I asked, is if it was something that you wanted to hang on to because it was going to be the subject of reporting or history.
I don't think it would be subject to reporting, but I wanted to hang on to it just for posterity's sake. I mean, this was my position on Afghanistan. I've been of the view, from a historical standpoint, that there are certain points in history, world history, where fundamental things change, usually technology. For example, without Gutenberg's printing press, Europe would be a very different place. Literally a different place, because countries would not have known what was happening in other parts of the country. Think about a stupid idea, a notion. Nixon probably would have been president where he used to television, where he sweated. I mean sincerely, he was sweating so profusely in that debate. A lot of people thought he won the debate, but he lost the debate because of his demeanor. So there's a lot of things that I think are fundamentally changing how international societies function, and they relate a lot to technology. And one of the things that I was of the view that a lot has changed in terms of everything from the internet to the way in which we communicate with one another, to that has fundamentally altered the ability. I've had this discussion with the press.
Mr. President, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, I'm sorry. Anyway, that's what I wanted to do.
I
It had
really-
nothing to do with Afghanistan.
Okay, great, that answered my question.
And Mark, just really quickly, I promise it'll be brief. I just really would like to avoid, for the purpose of a clean record, getting into speculative areas. When the president responded and said, I don't recall intending to keep this memo, you then said, well, might you have thought it was important to keep him, whatever? And he said, well, I guess I could have. His recollection, as I understand it, is he does not recall specifically intending to keep this memo after he left the vice presidency. And I want these questions to be as clearly answered and recorded on the transcript as possible.
I think we should take a break at this point.
Yeah. May I remind you that the question was, why did you keep this document? And then he just went on an entire tirade. Now, granted, I've seen politicians answer questions in public before. They usually do that when they don't want to answer a question directly. They'll just go off on a tangent and talk about something else. But he clearly seemed confused. I mean, he literally wandered off talking about technology. When they asked him a question is, why did you keep this memo? Oh, technology. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And then his lawyer comes in and said, and like what we talk about, this is like the deep state. It's like, the president didn't actually mean to say that. This is what he's actually trying to say. And this was them covering up. I mean, this is what we talk about, is like the media was covering for Joe Biden. They would not have given Trump that grace. They would have posted his gaffe for the world to see and have said, hey, look at this idiot president. Whereas for Joe Biden, they covered this up. And remember, this interview happened 2 years ago, and we're just now finding out about it. So, absolutely ridiculous. But that's really just what I want to talk about, is how long this has been going on, how long you've been lied to, Democrats. Again, I don't see how anybody could vote for the Democratic Party ever again, unless you're just brainwashed, a diehard Democrat brainwash person, because they have been lying to you, the American people, all of us, for years now. And you're just going to just hand wave that off like, oh, it doesn't matter because Trump's worse. It's like, no, Trump is not worse. That's insanity on your part if you think Trump is worse. But we'll get to some of the memes that I have pulled up, which are completely relevant right now. So, first one I have pulled up here is from Tim Pool. Biden has cancer that has metastasized to the bone. This is considered advanced. If he had the best medical care screenings for 4 years, they'd have found it, and it means that he's likely had it since before dropping out. Democrats knew, and I 100% agree with that. They have all the best medical experts in the world that take care of the president. And you mean to tell me that they didn't find out about this until after he got out of office? Very, very strange. And we know that it's bullcrap. We all know that it's bullcrap. Here's this next one about this urologist Steve Schusterman. Says Biden probably knew he had cancer 5 to 10 years ago, possibly before he even ran for president in 2020. Let's check this out.
I see. So you're saying even in a medically neglected population, it would be surprising to have a surprise diagnosis with a Gleason score of 9. So you're saying that certainly as he was serving in the Oval Office, you believe that he knew that he had prostate cancer, and even potentially as he was running in 2020 before he assumed office?
Well, most likely he had prostate cancer for a long time, and the aggressive prostate cancer such as this at age 80 grows over a long period of time. I mean, usually it takes from the first diagnosis of prostate cancer to spread would take 5 to 10 years, even in the most aggressive form. it's just, to me, it seems very surprising that the first diagnosis would be a metastatic diagnosis, especially Gleason 9 cancer, without having his PSA history. I mean, I would like him to get to release the PSA history right now to see what it was.
I see. So you're saying even in a medically neglected population, it would be surprising to have a surprise diagnosis with a Gleason score of 9. So you're saying that certainly as he was serving in the
Yes. So experts are even saying that, yeah, he should have known about this 5 to 10 years ago, and they still ran him for president. Now, you could argue that he hid that from them, but again, that's still lying by omission. You're not healthy enough to run for president. And then, like, what? You have to ask the questions is either he was being treated, and we know that the treatments cause cognitive decline, or 2, they weren't treating him, which is worse. And then Nancy Pelosi started that articles of impeachment, or the 25th Amendment, or whatever it was, to have a president removed. And we all, like at the time, thought that was going to be for Trump coming up for his reelection. But now we're starting to think maybe that was for Joe Biden if he ran another term. Very, very questionable now. Hindsight's always 20/20. But conservatives were saying that we were noticing stuff wrong with Joe Biden from way back to the very beginning of his election. But I think that's really about it. I had a bunch of Joe Biden gaffe stuff pulled up, but we'll watch this one, then I'll get ready to end this out here.
More than half of the women in my administration are women.
Are you concerned about the strength of the dollar right now?
Yeah, the more I look back on it now, the more I feel really, really bad for him now. I mean, really, really bad for him. Poor guy. Got to get rid of the music for this one. Yeah, where he just like stands off. I mean, that is like, dementia / Alzheimer's kind of stuff going on right there. It's like, it's really sad. It's really sad. The more I look back on it, the more sad it gets. And I feel bad for making fun of him as much as I did. But anyway, that's pretty much all I've got for today. But this was Chad with Owasso Live. This was The Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. But, I mean, that's really all I've got for today. So we'll see you on the next one. God bless you, everybody.
Outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden will soon say goodbye to the White House. Here's a look at some viral moments that marked his time as head of state. Biden's presidency involved a lot of falls, and not just political ones. In campaign speeches, Biden made some nasty remarks about Republicans and Donald Trump.
They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. I'm serious. These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
Or confusing names of world leaders.
As you know, initially, the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in. And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
Biden couldn't seem to resist playfully biting babies, which creeped a lot of people out.
By the way, he gave me permission to touch him.
Biden was accused by multiple women of inappropriately touching them, to which he apologized, saying it was unintentional.
Birds are being inappropriate.
Finally, Biden was known for randomly wandering off, whether it was from a stage or presser, leaving guests and audiences puzzled.